Viewers, we have breaking news coming in. The ED is provisionally attaching over 40 properties of Reliance Anil Ambani Group worth over 3,000 crore rupees. Now, these assets include Pali Hill residence of the Ambani family and also properties at Delhi, Noida, Ghaziabad, Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kanchipuram, East Godavari. The Directorate of Enforcement, or the ED, has provisionally attached properties worth about 3,084 crore rupees linked to the entities of Reliance Anil Ambani Group. All right, let's get all the updates. Our senior editor Shravan Sen is now joining us for more details. Shravan, what are the details emerging in the case about ED attaching 40 properties of Reliance Anil Ambani Group?
Well, in fact, Republic TV has now accessed the provisional attachment order. This is an order that has been passed by the Enforcement Directorate following the investigation that was carried out by the agency. And in the investigation that was carried out, the ED essentially found out that there was a direct investment by erstwhile Reliance Nippon Mutual Fund into Anil Ambani's group financial companies, and that was not legally possible due to SEBI's mutual fund conflict of interest. And remember, they're basically looking at funds that were essentially received by allied companies of Anil Ambani, that's Reliance Home Finance Limited, as well as Reliance Commercial Finance Limited. And they were basically looking at a period of between 2017 to 2019 when they had received money from Yes Bank, roughly about 3,000 crore rupees. And remember, that's not the only tranche of money that was being probed by the Enforcement Directorate. They are also looking at money that came in from a consortium of banks. For instance, they're also looking at the Bank of Baroda loan that was allegedly received by a company linked to Anil Ambani. And it seems that all of it was essentially diverted for other purposes, following which the Enforcement Directorate has now attached properties worth about 3,084 crore rupees. And these are all linked to entities of Reliance Anil Ambani Group. And the properties have been attached under various sections of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. In fact, the details that we have and some pictures that have also been accessed by Republic TV indicates that these attached assets includes his residence at Pali Hill. And apart from that, in the national capital, also the Reliance Centre property has now been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. There is a host of other properties in places like Noida, Mumbai, Pune, as well as Thane. All of it has now been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. In terms of options available before Anil Ambani, remember, it would be the tribunal which finally would take the call whether at all to uphold the provisional attachment order. And till that period, remember, there's not much that Anil Ambani can essentially do.
Right. And Shravan, another ED's order refers to this alleged diversion of bank funds of more than 20,000 crore rupees. But when we're talking about attaching the assets, it is, the figure of 3,000 crore rupees. So what is this, discrepancy that we're talking about?
There's absolutely no discrepancy here, Aishwarya. There are two different things to begin with. You're looking at a total sum of roughly about 20,000 crore rupees. That is at the onset of the investigation from the complaint that was essentially received, because ED had essentially found that these companies, which is Reliance Communications Limited and related companies, they had basically indulged in a loan fraud scam. And the Enforcement Directorate had essentially found out that these companies had diverted roughly about 13,600 crore rupees in evergreening loans. Over 12,600 crore rupees was diverted to connected parties, and about 1,800 crore rupees was invested in fixed deposits. Now, as of now, the Enforcement Directorate is basically attaching the properties which is provisional in nature, which essentially means that they have been able to gather evidence to the tune of roughly about 3,000 crore rupees. The investigation is far from over, and the attachment is also far from over. It is dependent on whether the Enforcement Directorate is able to gather more evidence and thereafter continue with the attachment process.
All right, Shravan, thank you so much for giving us all those updates on that big